The cops' lights were painting my backyard red and blue when Brenda started screaming that I was spying on the whole neighborhood. What she didn't know was that the only person the camera caught breaking the rules that night was her. In Oak Ridge Meadows, every lawn is the same shade of chemically perfect green. Every mailbox the approved shade of tasteful beige, and every resident is expected to smile like they're in a real estate commercial. I moved here after my divorce because I wanted quiet. What I got was Brenda Caldwell, HOA president, self-appointed guardian of community standards, and the kind of woman who says, "I'm just looking out for everyone," right before she ruins your life. I'm Marcus Bennett, 42. Work-from-home data analyst. Single dad to a 12-year-old who spends every other weekend with his mom. I'm the guy who nods politely at block parties and pays his dues on time. The guy who used to think rules existed for a reason. That changed the week a pack of neighborhood kids hopped my fence and treated my pool like their personal water park while I was out of town. They left wet footprints, empty soda cans, and one very expensive pool flow tie shredded like confetti. I stared at the security footage for a long time, thinking about what could have happened if one of them had slipped under the water and no one noticed. My liability. My nightmare. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I bought the best smart pool cover on the market, silver panels, AI motion detection, night vision, temperature logs. The works. It wasn't about spying. It was about never having to wonder again. The moment that cover rolled into place, Brenda smelled blood in the water. She showed up at my gate the next Monday morning, clipboard in one hand, fake smile stretched so tight her face looked like it might split, powder blue blazer, pearls, heels that clicked like a metronome of judgment. "Good morning, Marcus," she sang in that syrupy voice she uses right before she stabs you. "I couldn't help noticing you've made some modifications to your pool area." I leaned against the doorframe, coffee in hand. "Morning, Brenda. Just a safety upgrade. Keeps the kids from turning my backyard into a liability lawsuit." She tilted her head like a confused golden retriever. "It's very industrial. Doesn't really match our community aesthetic. Does it?" Section 7.2 of the Covenants talks about visual harmony. I almost laughed. Visual harmony. That's HOA speak for everything must look like a step forward catalog or will make your life hell. Safety codes trump aesthetics. Brenda. I've got the manufacturer's certs and city approvals if the board wants to see them. Her smile never wavered, but her eyes went flat. Of course. We'll review it. For the good of the community. She left. But not before running her manicured fingers along the edge of the cover like she was checking for fingerprints at a crime scene. That night the app pinged. Motion detected. 3:17 p.m. Single subject. I pulled up the footage. There was Brenda, leaning over my fence, touching the cover, inspecting it like it was a nuclear warhead. She stayed 2 full minutes. I saved the clip and smiled for the first time in weeks. Let her play her little games. I had receipts. The first violation notice arrived folded like a love letter from Satan. Unauthorized technology. Visual disharmony. Inspection required within 7 days. I replied the same day with a 12-page PDF of compliance documents, safety ratings, and a polite note reminding them that Section 7.2 doesn't actually prohibit safety equipment. I even attached the state statute in bold. Brenda's reply came at 6:42 a.m. The next morning, classic power move timing. "Thank you for your prompt response, Marcus. The board will determine whether your interpretation aligns with the community's intent." The community's intent. Translation: Brenda's intent. Then the whispers started. My neighbor Greg suddenly found urgent business in his garage every time I stepped outside. Susan from across the street stopped waving. The group chat went suspiciously quiet whenever I typed anything. Brenda didn't need to call me a creep out loud. She just needed to suggest it once. And the machine did the rest. By Friday, the HOA newsletter landed in every mailbox. Front page, reminder, unauthorized surveillance devices violate resident privacy and community harmony. It didn't name me. It didn't have to. Everyone knew. My daughter came home from school crying because her friend's parents suddenly didn't want them coming over. They said your pool is weird now. That one stung. I could have ripped the cover off and kept the peace. But peace bought with surrender isn't peace. It's just slower suffocation. So I waited. And then Brenda crossed the line she could never uncross. It was 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. The app woke me with a soft chime. Unauthorized access. 3 subjects. High confidence human presence. I opened the feed. Night vision painted the scene in ghostly green. Brenda Caldwell. HOA badge still clipped to her jacket. Clipboard in hand. Heels sinking into my grass. 2 board members trailed behind her like nervous ducklings. One of them whispered, "We shouldn't be doing this." Brenda's voice came through crystal clear. "It's called enforcement. Kevin. He can't hide behind his little toy forever." They lifted the edge of the cover. Took pictures. Discussed the suspicious wiring like they were in a bad spy movie. The whole pathetic performance lasted 4 minutes and 42 seconds. I didn't call the police that night. I backed up 3 copies of the footage. Labeled the folder HOA Trespass, Exhibit A, and went back to sleep smiling like a man who'd just been handed the winning lottery ticket. The next morning I still played dumb. Let her send more notices. Let her think she was winning. Every new fine. Every new rumor. Every new passive-aggressive email, I saved it all. Then the anonymous envelope showed up under my door on a Sunday morning. No return address. Just a flash drive and a handwritten note, "She's been doing this for years. Use it." The files were devastating. Years of emails. Fake invoices. Money funneled from community safety enhancements into accounts that somehow always led back to Brenda's husband's LLC. Coordinated campaigns to drive out residents who asked too many questions. A spreadsheet titled Problem Homeowners with my name at the top. I sat at my kitchen table for a long time, staring at the evidence of the little kingdom she'd built on fear and fraud. Then I called my lawyer. The county investigators arrived on a bright Thursday morning in unmarked SUVs. Navy jackets. Serious faces. Brenda came storming out of her house in full battle regalia, pastel blazer. Pearls. Binder clutched like a shield. "This is private property," she shrieked. "You can't just." Investigator Ruiz didn't even raise his voice. "Ma'am. We're here under county authorization to investigate allegations of financial misconduct and unauthorized surveillance. We have a warrant." The color drained from her face so fast I thought she might faint right there on the perfectly manicured lawn. I watched from my porch as they carried out boxes of files. Neighbors started gathering on sidewalks. Phones out. Recording the exact same way Brenda had always wanted them to record me. The emergency HOA meeting that night was standing room only. Brenda stood at the podium trying to project the same iron-fisted confidence she'd wielded for 8 years. But her hands were shaking. "These are baseless accusations," she began. "I have dedicated my life to." I connected my laptop to the projector. The room went dead silent as the night vision footage started playing. There she was. Heels in my grass. Flashlight beams sweeping across my pool. Her own voice. Clear as day, It's called enforcement. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone actually laughed, a sharp, shocked bark that broke the tension like a gunshot. When the clip ended, I stood up. "You spent months telling everyone I was spying on the neighborhood," I said quietly. "Turns out the only person caught watching where they didn't belong was you." Brenda's mouth opened and closed. For the first time in her life, she had nothing to say. Ruiz stepped forward. "Miss Caldwell, you're being served with notices of trespass, fraud, and misuse of association funds. County has frozen the HOA accounts pending full audit." The applause started slow. Then it built. Not mocking. Just exhausted relief from people who'd been walking on eggshells for years. Brenda was escorted out, still clutching her binder. Pearls Askew. Face the color of old oatmeal. The woman who had weaponized community standards against everyone else finally got measured by the same ruler. 3 months later. Oak Ridge Meadows feels different. The new interim board posted every financial record online. They repealed the most ridiculous rules. Kids swim in my pool again, after asking permission and signing the simple waiver the app now generates automatically. Nobody whispers when I walk by. Brenda's house is for sale. Last I heard, she's moving to a 55-plus community where, ironically, they have even stricter rules. Some people never learn. I still have the smart pool cover. The same one she called ugly, dangerous, and illegal. Now the neighborhood kids message the group chat when they want to swim. And the system logs their access with consent. Transparency instead of tyranny. Funny how the thing she feared most became the thing that brought the neighborhood back together. Sometimes at night I sit on the deck and watch the silver panels shimmer under the porch light. The system hums softly, recording nothing but peace these days. And I think about how power looks when it finally meets something it can't bully, can't fine, and can't control. It looks like Brenda Caldwell. Clipboard in hand. Caught red-handed in 4K. So tell me, who was really in the wrong here? The guy who installed a safety cover on his own property after kids nearly drowned in it, or the woman who broke into that same property at midnight while screaming about privacy? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one.